apparently Stephen A. Smith has already, as you recall, during the whole Kendrick Lamar halftime show, had this whole big whoopie-doo say about Serena Williams and how she was basically being disrespectful to her husband, and he would send her back over to the other side if she cares that much about her ex in that manner. And so it just so happened that somebody showed up on his show, Serena Williams' husband, Alexis.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right? And so it turns out he called Stephen A. about it. And guess what Stephen A. did? He was a hummer. And I was like, wow, look at this far different cry for the smoke that he had for Serena. But let's talk about his latest smoke with Jasmine Crockett. Apparently, he has a lot of words for Jasmine Crockett, too. As a matter of fact, he basically called her ratchet and told her she needed to tone it down when she's talking to the president and question if her language and choice of language is actually benefiting her constituents. So I would love to get you guys' thoughts on, is this the tale of two Stevens? Is this a Stephen A when there's a man present and a Stephen A when he only talking to the women? What are y'all thoughts?
Ooh, that was spicy yesterday. Go ahead. Ooh, I like that. I'm sorry.
I personally don't think. First off, I'm not a huge fan of Stephen A. Nothing against the brother, just not a fan. You could say I'm neutral, all right? Unlike Stephen, you know what I'm saying? I don't just choose a side and jump on it, right? But it seems as I look at his calling, you know what I'm saying? And because somehow he appointed himself to be an official. And I started looking at his credentials. Like, how did he get to be official? And now in politics, he's an official in marriage. He's an official, you know, all these other things. And I was like, well, what's his pedigree, right? We're talking about a young man who had one season almost, right, in college, right? And then he got into sports broadcasting. He did anything. And we allowed him to talk about other things. But sometimes, man, a person can talk so much they get out of the depth, right? Or if they don't get out of the depth, they reveal their bias. Right? Because I feel like, you know, love for the brother, you know what I'm saying? But he's given the self-appointed defender of the light-skinned brigade, right? Of the melanin deficient, right? From Drake to Trump to whomever, right? And then he gets to your boy, to Serena's husband, and now he you know, so maybe he's got a problem, you know what I'm saying? Not just with commentary, but making color commentary. Maybe his commentary is colored. Maybe it doesn't come as the same when it's pointed at let's say less melanated individuals, right? I don't know where the fire went. Y'all have to watch this tape and tell me I don't watch the man. What I can say is this. Right now, Jasmine Crockett is one of the few people who can speak Trump's kind of language, right? And she can speak truth to power from where she is, right? If he can't do that, he needs to leave her alone, sit down, let her do what she do. People elected her to do a job, let her do a job, man. Bruh, go find some sports to talk about, bruh. Go find some sports. You were a basketball player for a while. We let you talk about boxing. We let you talk about all this other stuff. Now you want to vert into politics and marriage. Stay in your lane, sir. Stay in your lane. That's all I got to say. Y'all go.
Man, look, Steven should have stood on the square and talked his stuff, man. That's your show, man. Alexis Ohanian can't fight and stand on your square. Like, man, this is my show. I said what I said. You can leave. You can go home. Get the hell out of here. So I'll say it with your old lady here, too. You should have stood on it. I don't know. It was a bad look.
I think Stephen A. Smith is he don't like his mama, so he don't like black women. He has a problem with women that are outspoken in any way, shape, or form. Like Jay said, Jasmine speaks Trump's language. She talks the way she talks, Trump talks the way he talks. And for Stephen A. to step up and say that she needs to tone down and she's ratchet is just more of his hate toward his mama. So Stephen A. to take that to a therapy office and a couch and leave it off of social media.
Oh, God. Let's start. Fuck it. Let's start early. What the fuck are y'all talking about? Y'all are so off. I hate that I got to come in here and defend Stephen A. because I haven't watched First Take in a very long time. But because of this story, I decided to give a fuck. So I went back to look at what the fuck he had said. Now, the broad strokes of it for me was he was giving Shorty some type of strategic advice in regards to maybe how she could be impactful. Did he call her out her name? I don't think I heard that. Did he call her anything other than I think he said she was brilliant, et cetera, et cetera? Like, what's at the crux of any of this brouhaha? I am so glad that I just don't spend my time scrolling as much as I used to because I could really give a fuck. But I do think this is a teachable moment. Why? Because the real heart of it is what's at the heart of this? Right? Is it an old school dude maybe giving a young firebrand advice that she don't need? Okay, great. Then she won't take it. Okay, cool. Who gives a fuck for real, for real? Like the framing of it a certain type of way is funny to me. So he was away right? I think not in the premises when Alexis Ohanian was on the show. So because he didn't address him on the show, when he made an offhanded comment in regards to how he would respond if his wife was doing X, Y, Z, which he's entitled to do. It's not giving marriage advice. He's not saying, hey man, you should do X, Y, Z. No, he's a fucking commentator, a provocateur fucking tour. Most of us will talk about topics that people will question whether or not we should be even talking about it. Right? Who gives a fuck? So yes, he has. You want to obviously he's paid his dues in sports, and he's been somebody who has sowed his seeds in politics. Whether or not we watch his shows, it's not like he just came out of nowhere and is all of a sudden talking politics. Okay, so do you disagree with his approach? Do you disagree with his strategy? Okay, maybe. I mean, I didn't think it was necessarily off base. I think what people miss though is the fact that we had uncles who were a little bit more conservative than we are today. People who may have a different lens. It's almost like there's no room for anybody who has a conservative thoughts. So he tries to, I guess, walk that fine line. But again, until y'all can point to something specific that he said that was disrespectful, maybe he felt like, okay, you know what? I understand that these people are using you a certain type of way. And again, strategy, I don't know. I'm not the politic person here. But if he's making the case that they're using her as a political punching bag to win points, and then at the end of the day, what are you going to actively be able to accomplish, right? Because it's about doing stuff, not just sound bites. I mean, I guess if she's going to run for president, okay, great. This would be a great, story to tell at some point in time. But unless it's going to materialize into something, he's saying, hey, man, there's maybe a different way to go about doing this. And maybe you disagree with it, but I just don't get how all of a sudden this is like the lightning class that y'all trying to make it seem to be. So until y'all can point to me something specifically, that this is just another example of why we can't do nuance. Because again, at the heart of this brouhaha, what the fuck did he really say for real that y'all disagree with? Beyond the echo chamber that social media tends to be because people disagree with something that you said, and then all of a sudden they want to cancel you, man. Cancel that. You heard me? Which I gotta say,
Okay,
let me hear what the fuck he said that got y'all asses in such a fucking bunch. Oh, and I'm sorry, one last thing. I heard somebody say like, oh, Trump does this. That just tells me how dumb some of y'all are because, or at least y'all thinking are, he's a fucking president. There's a power imbalance. Y'all women in particular talk about the power imbalance all the time. So in this situation, if you know that's the case, y'all don't go to y'all fucking jobs and fucking around the cages of the boss, even though you got good reason why, because it's a power imbalance. So it's not out of the world to say, hey, there's a power imbalance here. Maybe you want to try a little something different. So please explain to me what the fuck you said for real.
All right. So I love that question because I'm going to go ahead and explain that in my explanation of why what he said was an issue, but it was an issue because he told her to tone it down. And it was like, tone what down? The rhetoric that the Republican Party always seemed to promote and speak on and so forth is so tone it down, though. Let's talk about the historical context of tone it down. Tone it down is normally used when we're talking about Black women in particular and to say, hey, we need to police your voice, Black woman. We need to police what you say, Black woman. And that's what I heard. I heard him policing a Black woman's voice because that's what we're supposed to do to be what's the word I'm looking for? Palatable or pliable or agreeable or manageable so that we can assimilate into whatever the perception is for that particular climate. Now, here's what I will say, though, is that she's using the language that's resonating with her people. She's using the language that's actually resonating with his people, too, because that's the way they think. That's the way they speak. And we constantly talk about how we're supposed to meet people where they are. That's what she's doing. She's meeting people exactly where they are. Now, it's interesting that he didn't have any commentary for Laura Loomer. I think that's what her name was. But it's funny, though, because I understand because Laura Loomer is not even in politics. She's just another fucking ugly ass face mouthpiece. So I get it why he didn't have any commentary to tell her to tone it down or why he doesn't tell what's her name? Marjorie Green Taylor to tone it down, who actually is another representative. But I get it because it's easier to police Black women voices than to say, hey, you know what? Maybe everybody. This is one time when we could say, hey, maybe everybody should tone it down. Maybe the president and his people should take a step back and stop using this divisive ass rhetoric as well. Maybe that also decrease the violence that we're currently seeing. That maybe that also decrease the the increase in hate that we've also been seeing. Maybe that's where the policing should begin, not policing once again with the Black woman's voice. Last thing I'll say is, while the commentary was around the fact that she was using language that was for the streets, last time I checked, Pennsylvania Avenue was street. So sometimes street language benefits for the audience that you need. What I will note, though, is that he's fully within his rights to say what the hell he said, though. You know why? Because he's a commentator. That's what commentators do. They commentate. And if he calls himself providing her advice because later on he doubled down on what he said, but then he pointed out and highlighted that he's not saying this in a disrespectful way or that he's not saying this to demean her or anything, but he's just saying, hey, take a step back.